Yeah, so I mean, at this stage, we're spending as a company quite a lot of money on tech, and especially, AI and ChatGPT, the kind of paid versions. I use it myself, which I love. I kind of use that almost now as in place of Google. Instead of Googling the subject, especially if it's like a technical thing, I would actually speak to it.
Yeah.
So I don't type, I just speak to it. And the lacquer thing for me is you can actually, what is different, you can start speaking about a subject, and you can, if you get the answer, you can kind of speak back to it and say, listen, all right, that is the situation. Thank you. That's the situation in the US. What about South Africa? And then it gives you that, you don't have to kind of retype the question.
You don't have to do research as well. You are just typing it in. I mean, yes, with Google, you do that too, but it will give you multiple results.
Yeah.
Where with AI, especially AI that's used in like Google's AI system, they're doing the research for you. It's not always foolproof, but it does take away a lot of that, time that you would spend scrolling through multiple different articles. You'll get the information right away.
Yeah. Okay, tell me, I know that you guys, you're using, I think we've got, you've got a version, I guess a bit more of an entry-level version of ChatGPT, and then Ida's got, I think, the same version. And then Carla is using like the top-of-the-range version at quite a monthly cost. But I think we kind of made the decision that, we're not going to spare expense when it comes to this. This is kind of the future. I read somewhere they said you mustn't stress about the cost of tech, but the cost of not using tech. That's the worry. But tell me a little bit, I know you guys said, you're using it extensively at this stage.
No, we really are. I mean, I don't think I know we speak about AI quite often, and it's because we are a pro AI company.
Yeah.
We do see the benefit in using these programs and these tools, but it's exactly that. It's a tool. We don't use it to almost replace work aspects. It's just to almost enhance what we're doing so that we can focus on something else. In my course production department, I'm not the only one who yes, I use ChatGPT. I will use it more to like compress certain documents. If I want a 150-page learner guide compressed into 20 pages, they will give me the brief points. And I mean, I will then still have to go through, make sure that it is relevant. And I mean, you can have it do anything from creating questions to, pathways, things like that almost, it's not replacing what we do, but it is making, I mean, now I can create double the amount of courses in the amount of time. And I mean, in my team, my instructional designer, Teresa, she has Adobe Illustrator, and she uses their AI capabilities to create graphics that's used in our courses. I mean, we don't like the copyrighted images, and sometimes we just need like a very specific image. And that's where I think AI is really helpful. Yes, it is, depending on the type of image. I mean, it won't be ethical all the time, but we are very aware of this, and we do try to mitigate those issues. And I do know our marketing department, I mean, Ida, who's head of marketing, and then we've got Carla, who does like all our designs and assists Ida. They use AI as well. Ida loves to make use of ChatGPT for things. And one of the programs that I know Carla said she enjoys using is Sora, which, I mean, it has been constantly developing, but it's not foolproof. We don't expect them to be foolproof. No AI program is going to be foolproof at the get-go. I mean, AI is very good at doing things like landscape and it's a video tool.
Yeah.
But the moment you ask it to do something human, like create a human doing something, then you've got a human with like multiple limbs. And it's not, I mean, our marketing manager loves to say it's not like we're living in a dystopian era where that is our norm. So we have to be very mindful of things like that. But I know with the podcast, when Carla's editing our podcast, she makes use of Firecut.
Yes.
She makes use of the program Firecut, which is also a sort of AI program. And that also, yes, we do edit the podcast does get edited in that, but sometimes you've got all those ums and ahs and awkward pauses. And that's Firecut comes in and kind of, takes all of that away.
Yeah.
Or it helps with the captioning of videos so that those who can't hear what's happening can at least read what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's many different ways that we have utilized AI in the company, not just in our departments, but I mean, other departments have used it to almost create processes to help them, you know. So it's one of those resources that's just like endlessly useful if you can just use it correctly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying go and create it so that it does your job.
Yeah.
Because that's not great. It's your tool.
Yeah.
It's the same as saying an artist has a paintbrush and an easel. This is your paintbrush and easel, but you still need that human element to create the art.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's so funny to me. I mean, I think during our last Ideas Portal session, when we spoke about AI, the one lady said, yeah, you know, it's fantastic, but just keep in mind, it's not perfect and you have to proofread stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, it's still saving a lot of time. I mean, I think you said, you know, it's saving you like a person.
Yes.
And go and think what a person costs these days. But I think my response was, at the end of the day, we must realize we now at the start of this technology. This is like the first baby steps of AI. It will become very sophisticated very, very soon, you know. So I think I made that joke, and it's the truth. Apparently that the very first train trip that was undertaken was, I think, in between Birmingham and somewhere. And I think that the mayor of Birmingham got run over during the first train trip, commercial train trip. And everyone said, no, this is, you know, go back to horse and carriage. It shows you this technology is nonsense. And I think a lot of people say that about AI. But remember, guys, it's gonna improve much quicker than train technology. And I think from a company's perspective and saving costs, you know, I think you guys told me that, you know, we're saving like people here, you know, in terms of manpower. At the end of the day, that's, I mean, comparing the cost of a subscription versus employing a person, I mean, you can't compare. You know?
No,
so
you
for
really
me,
can't.
I'm personally very excited. I love using it, and I know you guys are way more advanced than me. But I really think, you know, it's a no-brainer. You know, you must start to embrace this technology, use it while it's still, and grow with it. You know, like we grow with our phone technology. I mean, 10, 20 years ago, you used phones to call and SMS. Now it's smartphones and everything. But if you decided 20 years ago you're not going to embrace phone technology, you're going to get left behind. You know, and then, you know, you can't at age 60 or 70 then try and understand AI. You must use it as quickly as possible, or as soon as possible, and as extensive as possible.
No, I agree there. I think that is definitely the way that we need to. I mean, if we want to be an ed tech company, we definitely need to embrace tech.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you.
There we go.